I have fond memories of playing Altered Beast in the arcades. I was a wee lad at the time, and hearing the game say things like,
Rise from your grave. Power up.
and then ultimately turning into whatever the beast was for that level was great fun. I liked it on the Sega Genesis as well, but since it didn't look quite as good as the arcade version, and I was just as critical of games back then as I am now as a bitter old fart, I still preferred the arcade version. I also think the Genesis version has limited continues, if I remember correctly, and I'm more the type to pump quarter after quarter in until I win or get bored. That's how you compensate for a lack of skill. Anyways, I was rifling through old games to see what to do for my next video when I found out, much to my surprise, that there was an Altered Beast made on the PlayStation 2, also known as Project Altered Beast. Released in Europe and Japan but cancelled for North America, the game serves more as a modern take and not a sequel. It also happens to be about as fun as playing with wolf droppings, so it's made the cut for Bad Game Summer 2025. Congrats, you're in the big leagues now. I can't think of any funny baseball puns, but if I did, it'd have to do with striking out or getting ejected from the game or something like that. I think I was a little bit funnier when I drank more. This game is more of a 3D action adventure where you play as a guy named Luke. Luke is a genome cyborg and was experimented on by some mad scientists who altered his DNA and now can absorb chips with the genes of animals and monsters or beasts, and once getting those, he can transform at will into them. One could say that he is, wait for it, an altered beast. I'm so sorry about that joke, but I had to do it. So basically, after surviving the game's opening cinematic, you start in this central hub where you can access a bunch of other areas, except you can't access them without some sort of ability that each beast has. You'll need to turn into a werewolf, a merman,
Merman!
and more to be able to reach everything. If you think, it's sort of like a Metroidvania, it's not that way, and much, much more linear than that. Like, the whole point of a hub is defeated, because you'll rarely come back here for anything once you go to the game's first area, because most of these branch off into the next areas that you're supposed to go. But this is the least of the game's problems, I promise you. The combat in this is awful, and the transformations are hilariously graphic. See, unlike the original Altered Beast, you can transform into any of your preferred beasts at any time. That is actually kind of cool. Unfortunately, there's a cutscene that plays every single time. And I mean every single time. I mean, look at that. His eyeball fell out of his head and popped. This poor guy's body gets obliterated like he's in a John Carpenter movie as he changes into these monsters, yet somehow ends up still wearing pants when he changes back. And they don't even look like they're shredded or anything. And I'm not really complaining about that. Like, I don't want to see his cash and prizes making any appearances after he transforms. Nor do I want to see, that get destroyed when he changes again. But it started off kind of funny that these random cutscenes would play every time, until about the 50th time I saw it in the game and wanted to turn the game off. And there's no way to change this in the options menu either, so you're just stuck with it. In addition to that, you have this green bar that's your beast power. This drains over time, then it'll start eating away at your health when it's empty. When you die, it's game over, and there's no auto-saving in this. So you have to watch your health at all times, and I promise you that you will get your ass kicked by enemies without really even realizing it. In fact, none of what made the original game is fun here. Altered Beast Arcade's original gameplay was fast once you transformed, and you felt powerful, and you could wipe out tons of on-screen enemies. None of that is here. You will be attacked by hordes of enemies, and they will almost always keep coming while you're trying to figure out where to go, or what you need to do to reach the next area. The combos you'll learn aren't that accurate either, and you can't cancel anything midway, but the enemies can hit you and cancel out whatever you're doing, so as with any other games that I've complained about on here, you'll have to get a lot of distance between you and your enemies to pull off something big, so you're better off just doing simple attacks. Either way, you're button mashing. Boss fights are almost always multiple phases, and dying at the very end of the last phase will make you froth at the mouth. There are usually gimmicks to each fight, however the combat here is so sloppy that you'll just have to rely on cheesing whatever works to try and live long enough to kill your enemy. During this time, an infinite number of trash enemies will come at you, and this is because the only way to get your beast power and health back is by collecting green and red blood, respectively. You can get health back by using save points as well, but those are so rare that it's basically the first method. The camera, as is expected, is trash and will fight you a lot of the time when you're in tight spaces. Even if you're not in a tight space and it's cooperative, the right analog's x-axis is also reversed, so your rights and lefts are switched when you're trying to look around. The enemy designs in this are surprisingly normal, and you will fight things like zombies, bats, wild boars, lobsters, and the bosses are things like giant bats, giant frogs, and more just giant versions of normal animals. Where the hell's the guy throwing monster heads? Or that crazy monster with all the eyeballs that kind of look like Shuma Gorath? I don't want to fight frogs. I like frogs. I like bats too. I don't like gorillas though. Sorry, Harambe. And on top of everything I mentioned, the modern setting of this game just kinda sucks. Altered Beast Arcade had this cool Greek mythology setting that was colorful and really unique, and this is just bland buildings and some mountains and water. It has none of the personality that made the original so fun to play or even watch. They should have just made a 3D version of the original. Take out this hub and make it linear with some branching paths to find collectibles, make your guy melt when transforming just the one time, tweak the combos to make everything fast and fluid, put some speed metal in the background when you fight enemies, and it would have been great. So am I glad I played this to see what it was like? No, of course not. As soon as I found out it even existed, I knew it wasn't going to be any good, but just like those, Germans who had to open the Ark at the end of Raiders, I had to take a peek and the results were actually kind of similar to what happened to them. You didn't miss anything by playing this either. It was crappy crap that I'm going to treat like the first time I went to Chipotle, and other than the hospital bill I got from my colon liquefying, pretend it never happened. And those, club members, are my final thoughts on Project Altered Beast. That's it for today's video. What misery is coming next in Bad Game Summer? Subscribe so you can find out.